chose SUM because I truly believe that it stands for its 4 pillars. I graduated with very little debt. I got an amazing education from professors that love what they do and love to teach us all about theology and ministry. I got hands-on mentorship my entire 3 years here, where people just poured into me, loved on me, and believed in me. And I really got to get my hands involved in hands-on ministry and even got to start my own homeless outreach practicum.
Hey, we're here with Melanie Francis, who is the Vice President of Cohort Development with SUM. And Melanie, thank you so much for joining us for this.
It's such a privilege to be here with you guys today. I love how we can connect coast to coast.
Yeah, it's great. And we have Melanie on this call because we just are so excited about the fact that this fall we're going to be launching an SUM cohort right at Calvary's Love in Johnson City. And so we're so excited for that. And we just wanted the opportunity really just for people to hear from you, Melanie, just to understand what is SUM, what's the heart of SUM, how does it operate? So maybe we can just get started with really the what is SUM for anyone that maybe has no idea and has never heard of it before.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today. We'd love to just share a little bit more about who we are at SUM Bible College and Theological Seminary. Our entire purpose, the entire reason why we exist, is to empower leaders for fivefold ministry. We really believe that we're in an amazing season of harvest. But you know, when Jesus looked out at that harvest, he didn't tell people, hey, you need to pray that the harvest would be ready. He didn't say, pray for rain for the harvest. He didn't say, pray that there would be no bugs or worms or anything like that. He said, pray for laborers. Yeah. Pray for laborers, because there's not enough laborers for the harvest. And so what we do at SUM Bible College is we train laborers for the harvest. And we do that by partnering with great leaders in local church settings, because we know that the best way to train leaders for harvest is to do that in partnership with the local church.
Yeah, and Melanie, for those of you that maybe don't know this, it's really amazing how God has already brought us together in partnership so many years back. And maybe some people don't know this, but you and your husband, John Francis, you guys used to be on staff at Calvary's Love as the youth pastors. You were Tara and I's youth pastors.
Yeah.
Isn't that pretty crazy how?
You're not supposed to say that in public. We were young. My husband had hair. So there was a time when we were young, when he had hair. I guess I was like 12 when I was your youth pastor.
Yes, right. Forever 29, right? We're forever 29. I think one of the things that is really important and just to remember about that time is just how impactful both of you were in our personal lives, and how you spoke into us and you saw potential in us and you saw Jesus in us. And that's one of the things that I love about SUM is that you're not just a student. You're put into mentorship relationship within the church and within the model. So can you tell us a little bit more about that and how maybe that's impacted specific students?
Yeah, that's awesome. And we count it such a privilege to be able to have played a role in your life in that season. You know, we strongly believe that ministry doesn't start once you have a degree hanging on your wall. Ministry starts when you avail yourself to the call of Jesus and you decide to do something about that. We've watched so many over the years begin to answer that call when they're really young. And one of the absolutely non-negotiable pillars at SUM is this pillar of hands-on ministry. And what that looks like is we're saying, hey, no, you don't wait until you complete your degree program to be qualified to serve Jesus. we want to make sure that you have a place to serve right there from the very beginning. So, day one, when students come into SUM and they start their degree program, they start in their academic classes, but they also start in their practical ministry classes. So right away, that very first week, they're getting involved in the local church setting. They're assigned a practicum or two practicums at their local site. They're partnered with some great leaders that are already just providing amazing ministry at your location. And they're learning things like evangelism and children's ministry and youth ministry, worship ministry. They're out there and they're serving and they're learning as they serve. So what happens is, instead of learning some stuff in a classroom that comes out of a textbook and has no real life context, students get that academic, that theologic and biblical foundation, which is really important. We want them to have strong, sound doctrine, but then they get that and they learn how to bring it into everyday life and apply it with the preschooler that's in the preschool setting. So instead of the Trinity being just this theological concept, this theological concept becomes something that's applicable to a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
And that's, so important in learning how to partner the academic with the practical.
Yeah, I love that so much, because when I went to Christian college, that experience for me, it was great. And I got all of the teaching and the biblical knowledge and all of those things, but I almost felt isolated for 4 years. I was away from my church family. I was kind of cut off from real practical hands-on ministry. And then I was trying to jump back into ministry when I was like home on breaks and stuff, but it just didn't feel the same. And then all of a sudden, after the 4 years, I am thrown into a ministry position and I have to recall 4 years of information all of a sudden while I'm sitting with a student. I was in youth ministry. And so I love this hands-on approach that you're learning it and you're applying it at the same time, and that you have someone kind of coaching you through it and mentoring you through it. Can you also just talk about, you touched on it a little bit, just the importance of biblical understanding, theology, and then what a student would be getting at SUM, not just the hands-on part, but just academically and accreditation, things like that?
Yeah, sure. So, I mentioned before that the practical ministry is one of our non-negotiable pieces. We actually have 4 non-negotiable pillars that SUM stands on. One of them is academic excellence, of course, practical ministry, personal mentorship, and affordability. I'm sure we'll touch on that at some point. But that academic piece is, of course, important. We want Scripture is really clear that we need to be able to provide an account for the faith that lies within us. We should be able to have a conversation with somebody and be able to stand firm in why we believe what we believe, and not just be able to say, well, I was told that in my Sunday school class when I was a child. We should be able to really stand firm and understand the foundation that our faith is built upon. So we want students to, first, we want them to have that experience personally. But then we also want them to be able to explore their faith, study their faith, and be able to build that strong foundation. One of the things that I like about SUM is that our faculty, they're qualified in their field. They're qualified academically. More than half of our faculty have a terminal degree, meaning they have a PhD or a doctor of ministry, but they also are practitioners. So they're academic and practitioners at the same time. I always use that preschool example. I love our Gen Ed department chair, Dr. Kathy Frady. She is amazingly brilliant, and I've never seen another professor hold students as accountable to the way that they cite and use Turabian citation as Dr. Kathy Frady. She's tough. She holds you accountable, but on Sunday mornings, she's literally serving in preschool ministry, because that's her heartbeat, is preschool ministry. And that's kind of the foundation of everything at SUM. We are fully accredited. So we're accredited nationally through ABHE, which is a biblical accrediting body, but we're also accredited regionally through WASC. And WASC is just a secular accrediting agency. So what that means is when students leave SUM with a degree, Their degree is not just biblically recognized. It's a degree that's recognized by the same body that accredits like Cal Berkeley. It's a solid degree. So when students come to SUM and they pursue their bachelor's degree, we have a bachelor's in theology and ministry. We also have a new bachelor's that's coming this fall in worship and music. So when a student has that degree, it's an accredited degree. It allows for students to apply for federal financial aid. I often say it's one of our best kept secrets is that, and now I'm sharing it on social media, but one of the best kept secrets is that the government will still pay for students to get a ministry degree. That's so amazing. So students that have Pell Grant available in any other program, that's available to be applied at SUM as well. And I shouldn't leave out our graduate degrees. We do have graduate degrees as well. So for students that, or maybe pastors in a current ministry setting that wish they could have done a little bit more, maybe in the area of leadership or in the area of biblical studies, we have a Master's of Christian Leadership, a Master's of Biblical Studies, and there's 3 concentrations in that. So there's a couple of different things you can study: biblical exegesis, biblical languages or biblical theology. And we also have the Masters of Divinity program, which is considered the professional degree in ministry, leads to things like chaplaincy, military chaplaincy, prison chaplaincy, hospital chaplaincy. That's what that degree looks like. So it is a solid academic program where students will get the general education, biblical education, theology, and applied theology training that they need to be effective in ministry.
Amazing. Take a minute, Mel, and just explain to someone that's listening, and this all sounds great to them. Okay, a college that's based out of California, it's being offered at Calvary's Love Church, but what does this actually look like? Maybe there's still a disconnect for some people that are just trying to picture, what does it look like for me to go to class? How am I attending class at Calvary's Love Church, and how is that connected to SUM and how you guys operate in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that we're filming this video during this COVID crisis, right? And everybody is at home, and all of our kids are doing their education at home, whether you're in elementary school, middle school, high school, and even our college students are completing their spring trimesters at home. But with SUM, we have been online since before 2007. So online for us is not a new thing. Online for us is something that's been established over time. And that online platform paved the way to be able to establish our accredited program in local cohort sites. So what we've been, and that we've been doing since 2008. We've taken the education, the accredited education that SUM has developed, and brought that into the local church setting where we can better combine the academic piece with the practical piece, right? In an environment of mentorship. So local cohort sites like Calvary's Love, local partners, are able to offer the accredited education at their location while providing personal mentorship for students and ministry experience. So students will come to that location. Their pastoral teams, their visionary leaders, their lead pastors, staff pastors are able to mentor students. They're able to provide ministry training. And they also are able to just be a community there doing life with students. So students grow in a wonderful environment where they're being nurtured, not only in their faith, but also in their ministry training. But their education is coming in very much like the way we're speaking today. It's this live online format where students see their professors see their students, they're able to have dialogue, they see all the other students in class. I always tease they can even pass virtual notes because there's a chat feature where they could private chat with each other, and the professors know, though. We know when you're private chatting with each other. We can see and we can tell. But it's this great community where students from literally all across the United States in over 50 cohorts stateside And internationally, we have more than a dozen international locations. Students from all of those sites are literally taking classes at the same time. It's
Yeah,
such an amazing experience.
that
Yeah.
was one of the things that we loved when we heard that you can be sitting in a class with someone in Ghana or
Ooh,
um,
Ghana.
that one, of course, was highlighted for us because Jared
Yeah.
just went there. But one thing that just as communicators of the gospel, Jared and I always talk about is that the version of God, the version of Jesus that you present needs to translate around the world and not just to America. And I think that is so beautiful about sitting in a classroom as a young student and hearing other people and their perspectives of God and their perspectives of what faith looks like in their
Mhm.
context, and seeing that God is the same. That's just, I love that aspect of the university and sitting in that classroom. So then the student isn't sitting at home alone in their bedroom looking at a screen and watching a class. No, it's happening in community. Everything is about community and mentorship and partnership. So I love that model. And then we touched a little bit on it, but the affordability part of it. I know that for so many people, just the thought of college, the thought of paying for college is just overwhelming. It's overwhelming, especially if you're called to ministry, because let's be honest, we don't do it for the paycheck. We do it for the souls that are on the other side of that, yes. And so I always am so encouraged and inspired to hear all of the leadership of SUM anytime I've heard you speak about the importance of keeping that affordability pillar intact so that you're equipping future ministers of the gospel with everything that they need. That's not just academic mentorship equipping, but also being financially prepared for their future. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, you really hit at the heartbeat of SUM. SUM was birthed out of an urban setting in urban New Orleans, and so what the college was founded upon was this idea that there would be people being called to ministry, that literally God had radically transformed and saved, and they had this passion for souls. They wanted to train and be ready to be able to fulfill the call that God placed on their life, but they couldn't afford to go to a traditional Bible college. So literally, Chancellor George Noe started the college in his living room in New Orleans, and everything grew from there. So the goal was always to help students answer the call, fulfill the Great Commission with as little debt as possible. It breaks my heart when I look at the numbers of student debt that is out there, and how students that really started with the right motivation really can't fulfill what God called them to do because they can't pay $60, $70, $100,000 back in debt. So at SUM, we always say our education is affordable, but affordable to one and affordable to another is a different thing, right? The cost of attendance right now for your entire bachelor's degree to complete your entire program is under $30,000. So it breaks down to about $9,000 a year, about $3,000 a trimester. To put that into perspective, 1 year's tuition at a traditional college is over $30,000, and our degree is set up to where a student can complete their program in 3 years instead of 4. So that saves time and money. So to my own children, and I have grown children that have been through college, I always talk to them about being wise about your college debt. Your investment in education is significant, but it's significant to the level of a car, not a home. At SUM, you can get your entire bachelor's degree, and this is before federal financial aid is applied. So you can get your entire bachelor's degree for under the cost of a new car. I think that's pretty significant. If you are eligible for Pell, 2019-2020 Pell numbers were $6,100 for the year. So that's over $18,000 over the course of 3 years. Pell is free money. You don't pay it back. We take every penny in Pell that the government will give us. We take as few pennies as possible in loans, because loans you have to pay back. So students that are listening, loans you have to pay back. We want to take the Pell because you don't don't have to pay that back, but essentially half of a student's degree can be paid for with Pell if they're eligible for Pell. So that's just amazing. It's an amazing opportunity. They shouldn't have to leave SUM with a large amount of debt.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Love that.
Thank you so much, Mel. Real quick fire questions for you. What's the best part about SUM?
Hands down for me, it's always been the international perspective. Just sitting in classes with these amazing leaders. You talked about Ghana before. We've got 3 cohorts in Ghana. Some of the most amazing leaders are in that cohort. I have been able to interact with pastors from amazing congregations that have reaches all across the country there, and listening to people's perceptions of God and how they express their faith in the context of their community, in the context of their culture, how they're reaching people across the Philippines and across Ethiopia and across India with the gospel. It's so inspiring to be able to be in that type of a community. You don't get that anywhere else without live interaction with people from all over the world.
Yeah, sitting with other students from these other countries, right, in the same class. That's such an amazing experience. All right, next quick fire question. What would you say to a student who is interested but in potentially being part of SUM at Calvary's Love in Johnson City? What would be the most, I guess, important thing that you would want them to know right from you?
Yeah, so I would say if God has called you to ministry, do not put off do not put off that call any longer. It doesn't matter if you're 18, if you're 38, or if you're 68. One of our graduates last year was over 70 years old, and she said, I finally got my degree, and now I can finally be equipped for the ministry that God has called me to. Don't put it off. Answer that call, get equipped. It is worth it. It's an investment of time, but it is worth it. And I just want to say you couldn't really be partnering with a better set of leaders. The leadership at Calvary's Love is tremendous. They will love you. They will invest in you. They will train you. They will teach you, and they will put you out, and they will launch you into ministry. You will be prepared, and you will be used, and you will serve. So I couldn't think of a better place.
Well, that's one of the most exciting things for us in launching this is just to know that we not only are training up future leaders for the ministry and providing a bachelor's degree education for them right out of Calvary's Love, but also that they're able to join us in all that's happening and all that we're doing through Calvary's Love and within the community. This year launching Chi Alpha, which is at Binghamton University, and just what students would potentially be part of that, and everything that we're doing at the Bridge Community Center, and just the countless opportunities that people would have within digital media, video, creative arts, our community center, our Chi Alpha we're launching, kids ministry, youth ministry, young adult ministry. There's just so many opportunities.
Addiction recovery.
Yeah.
Addiction recovery too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're ready for you.
there are so many opportunities for people to, like you said, have the hands-on, ministry side of things while they're pursuing, in getting their bachelor's degree. And we're so excited because Tara and I had the opportunity to come out to California to experience SUM, to hear from the chancellor, to really get the vision for this. And I mean, taking that trip just built our excitement and anticipation in launching this so much, because we know that what we're partnering with, that SUM is just so solid, that you guys, the vision that you guys are moving forward, and the cohorts that are already functioning all over the nation, this is already happening. So we're not sort of like a new thing here at Calvary's Love. But Melanie, how many cohorts are there across the nation?
Yeah, there's over 50 in the US right now, and over a dozen internationally. Just the longevity of this program has been tremendous. This is not something that just developed overnight. This is something that has been developed over time. So in some parts of our country, people are not familiar with SUM yet. That's true of a lot of the northeastern part of the country, although we are trying to break that with multiple cohorts launching in the northeast part of the United States this coming fall. Much more well known in the southern part of the country, Florida, Texas, and of course in the West too. But SUM has been we're at 29 years now, so we've been functioning as a Bible college and seminary for 29 years. So there is history there that has been enduring. The other thing I think that is so vital in this whole piece is that we've got two extremes in our church world. We've got churches that are growing and thriving and moving forward, but we also have a whole group of churches that are not. And those churches need to be revitalized. Mm-hmm. Those churches need somebody who's going to love those communities. They're going to love those people that are going to be willing to invest their life in those places. And students that come out of school with $100,000 of debt are not going to be able to do that. I watch our SUM grads take positions in places all across the country that are least reached places that nobody wants to go to. And they go and they impact a community for Christ. It's a beautiful thing. SUM grads go in and they serve in staff positions and youth pastor positions and lead pastor positions and church plant positions and missions positions, but they participate in Live Dead communities and Live Dead groups, and it's so encouraging and exciting to see where they choose to invest their life later. So, if you're a pastor in a local church and you're hearing this and you're considering, do I want to send a student to be involved with the team at Calvary's Love and with SUM? I want to say, yeah, send them there. They'll get equipped and they'll send them back to you. They'll stay with you. They'll serve in your local church. They'll send them back to you. They'll send you youth pastors and children's pastors, and they'll send you your worship pastors and your church planters. And you'll really have an amazing opportunity to fulfill the pulpit need, to fulfill the ministry need across New York, because it's great. Yeah. And it's only going to get greater. We need to prepare the next generation to continue ministering in the Pentecostal tradition. If we don't do that, I always heard this preached when I was younger, where, always within one generation of Pentecost dying out. The truth is, the only reason why that happens is because people don't have a personal encounter with Jesus. They don't have that personal Pentecostal experience. Give it to them. I know you'll get that at Calvary's Love. And then they'll send those people back out to energize your church, inspire your pulpit, energize your ministry, and really help you reach your community for Christ.
Yeah, that's a big part of our heart and vision as a church, is that we have these four things: reach, renew, raise, release. And we always talk about all we want to do is reach people, raise them to their calling, and release them out. Renew them to God, raise them up, and then release them out. It doesn't have to just be at Calvary's Love. That just as long as souls are one and the Spirit is moving, that's all that we care about. As long as we're just saying yes to God, and if we can be the other side of that, of your personal yes. I want to pursue this call. I want to say yes to God, but where do I do it? Well, maybe this is it for you. If you're watching this video, and like Pastor Mel said, maybe you're a pastor and you're seeing someone in your congregation, and it doesn't just have to be a student, someone that just is called and they have an anointing. They have something wrapped up in them that God wants to release. We want to hear from you as well. We want to partner with you. So thank you so much for meeting with us today.
Wait, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if someone is hearing this and they're really loving everything that we're talking about and this whole concept of SUM, what would you say to them is the best next step for them to be able to go beyond just hearing something and it sounding good but to actually be able to start moving forward with it?
Such a great question. Faith without works is dead, right? So there's got to be some kind of response. So if God is speaking to your heart, you're sweating and your heart is racing and the Holy Spirit's like really working you over right now. You're watching this video and you want to hit stop, but you can't hit stop, right? We want to say move. There's a couple of things that you can do right now. You can contact Calvary's Love and they would love to get you connected with how to learn more about SUM at that location. You can also visit sum.edu. If you click on the cohorts link and locations, you're going to find the link to Johnson City, SUM Johnson City right there. And you can put your information in right there at that website and someone will get back to you immediately and start getting you information about SUM. The other thing that you can do is sign up for our virtual campus days that's happening on May 15th. There's 3 different time slots that you can visit. There's actually our virtual campus days, Día de Campus Virtual en Español también en el 16 de mayo. It's on May 16th in Español, in Spanish, because our BATM program, our Bachelor's of Arts in Theology and Ministry, is entirely in Spanish as well. So we'll have a campus days for that on Saturday the 16th. Sign up for that. That one is on our sum.edu/Espanol location, and you can find a link for that as well. We would love to have you sign up for one of those events, get to learn more about SUM, and we'll take applications right there for you. We would love to be able to facilitate that for you.
Great.
Thank you so much. And students, pastors, whoever is hearing this and you are ready to take the next step, we're ready to meet with you, to talk with you, and to take the next step with you. God has amazing things for New York. I'm not just limiting it to Johnson City or Broome. It's New York, it's the Northeast. God has amazing things, and really for the whole world, because who knows who God will raise up through this and where you will be released to. So thank you for watching this video today. Thanks for joining us today. And thanks for praying and being sensitive to the voice of God. And no matter how scary it looks, taking the next step of faith.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for having me here today. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Mel.